In this lesson, I'm going to show you some super shortcuts, the real nitty-gritty stuff. Now, one thing you can do is if you have your auto select not selected, which means that, remember when it was selected, I can just click and move. Let's turn that off. And now, if I were to select the moon, I can't do it. It still moves the rooster. You see that? Because it's the rooster layer that's active over here. All you got to do is press Control, double click on the moon, or just click, Control, click on the moon, and that will select the moon and you can move it. Control, click on the rooster, and that will move it. Okay, that's nice. Another shortcut is Control, Alt, A. What did that do? It selected all of the layers except for the background layer. Again, Control, Alt, A. Control, Alt, A. Okay? Now with the Move tool selected, you should be able to move these layers, but watch what happens. You can't, because the gradient layer is locked. Click OK. Click on this layer to unlock it. To do that, you select the layer, and then you select the lock icon again, which will unlock it. Now let's press Control Alt A to select all the layers. Guess what? Now I can move them. See? Press Control Z to put them back in place. Okay, another shortcut is how would you select individual layers if you needed to? You can shift click, okay, select the moon, shift click alarm clock, and that will select everything in between. You can select gradient, control click alarm clock, and then use the move tool, and that will move those two only. Okay, press Control Z. You can press Control Alt A to select them all, and then press Control on the alarm clock, Control on the gradient, and that way you will just select those two. And see, you just move those two. Control Z to move those back. How would you cycle through the layers? Press Alt and the left or right bracket key. So if I press the right bracket key, I'm on the top layer. I'm going to start from the bottom, and it's going to go up. It's going to cycle through the layers until the one that I would need to get to. Basically, to me, you can use a left or bracket, but just if you remember one, you can just cycle through real quick. But it is nice to know, both of them. So if I wanted to select the sun, there we go. And then I just come over here and move it. And this could be handy, I guess, if you have a whole bunch of layers. I rarely use this one, but I did want to show you. Let's see here. Let's select the alarm clock here. Shift, Alt, and this layer. We'll start selecting layers above it, or if you press the other bracket key, we'll select below it. So whatever layer you select, and you press Shift, Alt, and the bracket key will select above or below it. Okay, that's another one. There's also a unique thing. I'm going to quickly do something here. I'm going to change this just so I can show you. This is now called a smart object, just to show you. But if I clicked on sun, you'll learn about smart objects later, I think in the second series. Extremely important in Photoshop, extremely important. Select the sun layer. Then you're going to go to a flyout menu, and you're going to see a thing called, you're not going to see it on my screen, but it's going to say select similar layers. Right click on the layer, right click on the layer and say select similar layers, and this will select all the layers that are similar to it. It will not select this layer because this is a smart object layer, which is different. There's also a type layer, just so you know. And this is the background layer. So background layer is considered something different. So if I select gradient and I right click and choose select similar layers, it won't select anything else because there's no other smart objects. That's something else I wanted to show you. Here's another nice shortcut. Press Control and your bracket key and watch the alarm clock active layer. Watch what happens to it. Excuse me. Sorry. See how I can move it up in the stack or down? By pressing Control and whatever layer is active, I can make it move up or down. Then I can press Alt and move the bracket, the key to that layer, and then press Control and I can move the sun up. I can press Alt and the right bracket key a couple times to get the alarm clock, then press Control and move the alarm clock to the top by pressing also the bracket key. So you can alternate between the two to either move the layer or select a different layer. That's pretty nice also. Is select the layer, okay? Control click on the thumbnail, which will select the moon. Press Control J, and guess what? It makes a copy, just like that, and now you have two moons. Another way to do that is just to go over here to the layer, new, layer via copy. See the shortcut Control J, and then you have another moon. So now we have three moons. Okay. And lastly, what I'm going to do is show you one more thing. There's a lot of things with layers, and this is just the beginning. So imagine how much power the layers gives you, and this is just layers. Okay, so I'm going to turn the moons off real quick. I'm going to turn on the visibility of the alarm clock. I'm going to make it active. My gradient is active. My background is active. Remember, you can always double click on the background layer to get rid of it. It'll change it to layer 0, or you can name it, and then it's no longer a background layer. If you need this layer to be a background layer, go over to your layer menu, new, background from layer, now convert it to a background. But this is what I want to show you. Click on the alarm clock, make it active. Then click on this little button right here. Well, let's choose this one first. This will lock the position. So if I try to move, see, it won't allow me to do it. Now I can move the gradient because I have gradient selected, and Control Z. But if I go back to alarm clock and I try to move it, it won't, because I've locked it. I've locked the position of that rooster. So just go ahead here, click on the position and select the lock. There we go. So don't select the lock, select the icon. Sorry, I get that confused sometimes. Then you can move that back around. One more is lock transparency. And what does this mean? I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to get the brush tool. I'll press B. And I'm going to select the color black. That'll definitely prove the point. I'm going to increase the brush size and watch what happens. Okay, you see what's happening? By choosing lock transparency, you're locking the transparency. You're not locking the item that's opaque. You're locking the transparency, you see, which allows you to draw on this without affecting the transparency, which can be very helpful. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about masking.